welcome to Make Your Passion Pay. I'm Luann Beekler, creator of the Make Your Passion Pay Playbook, your host and guide on this exciting journey to building joyful and successful work environments. Known as the Little Spark, I've helped countless individuals and businesses ignite their potential through transformational coaching, creating thriving businesses and joyful workplaces. I have experienced the challenges of leaving toxic workplaces and building something better. I bring firsthand wisdom to help you align your work with your values. With insights drawn from working alongside world-renowned leaders and a deep passion for community and connection, I'm here to show you how to lead with joy and purpose. Let's dive into today's episode and start making your passion pay. Welcome to Make Your Passion Pay podcast, where we talk about the 6 C's to making your passions pay, which are clarity, connection, community, collaboration, creativity, and commitment. Today, we're going to talk a lot about community with my new friend, Kandas Rodarte. Say that right. Kandas hosts conversations, workshops, and communities that are useful, engaging, and transformative to Gen X women solopreneurs. She has been building businesses for over 30 years, all the while living with metastatic breast cancer. That's resilience, my friend. She is an internet marketing pioneer, a veteran podcast and YouTube talk show host, and gratitude is her business strategy. Love it. Just love it. So she has a show called the Gratitude Geek. Go listen to Kandas's podcast, Gratitude Geek. I was on the show. Thank you, Kandas. Welcome today.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with the Gratitude Geek audience. Really.
We had a lot of fun that day.
Yeah, you dropped some major groovy bombs. It was episode 323, y'all, if you're looking for it.
Excellent. So, Kandas, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. It sounds long and like it took some resilience.
So, when I was 18 years old, I was introduced to the Tupperware opportunity. I still lived at home with my parents. I was a student, and I had a part-time job working in a retail store in a mall. Remember malls? Do you remember malls?
I'm old enough.
And I thought, here's a single woman, very young, thinking, oh, yeah, I could sell Tupperware. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And to this day, I still own the Tupperware that I bought for myself when I was 18, and I am 56 years old. So let me tell you, when Tupperware...
Good product.
Yeah, well, Tupperware is sort of, I don't know if it's even around anymore. I saw it in a Target, and I was like, oh, I'm so sad because it's such a good product. But, you never know. And then I did the corporate route after that, and I got my feet wet in manufacturing, working in the sales department at the North Face. And that was so much fun. Working for a company like the North Face is, I highly recommend. And then I got recruited by a retail company with a chain of retail stores across the country. And I moved to Texas, and I was miserable. I really did not like the culture at that company. But I had met my husband, and we were engaged. And I told him I was miserable, and he said, quit. So I did, and we started our own business. This was in 1998. We launched the very first online custom furniture store where you could actually choose your colors, your doors, your knobs, your handles, all of that with a shopping cart. This was about 2000 by the time we actually got it built.
Wow.
So I am truly an internet marketing pioneer because before me, there was nobody doing what we did the way we did it.
That is fascinating. I didn't know that piece of your puzzle. And does that company still exist today?
We retired in 2017 and moved to Michigan.
Got it. Wow, that must to take a lot of collaboration with partners and producers to produce the furniture.
Yeah, my husband was the builder, and he trained because we had amazing systems in place. We both read, oh my goodness gracious. It was a really popular book about system building, E-Myth. We both read E-Myth, and then we put systems into place. And so my husband was able to train teenagers to build this furniture, and he oversaw everything
Well, that is
because of the systems.
because of the
The
systems.
systems.
I love the E-Myth, and I don't remember it as a systems book. Isn't that interesting? Maybe I should say that differently. I love Michael E. Gerber, the author of the E-Myth. And Michael says that in the absence of passion, there can be no success.
That is true.
Right? If you're not passionate about what you're doing, you will never truly feel successful.
That is so true.
That is why I help people identify their passions. But you've found yours, haven't you, Candace?
I think my passion is community building.
I think it is.
It's what I have always done. I remember in high school, because my father worked for the military, I moved around a lot until about eighth grade, until eighth grade. And in eighth grade, we planted our flag and stayed in the same place for a while. But because I had moved around a lot, whenever a new kid came to school, I immediately just wanted to be kind to them. And so years later, when MySpace, do you remember MySpace? Years later, when
Yeah.
MySpace came out, I got a message from somebody I had went to high school with, and she said, "I want to tell you how much I appreciated how kind you were to me because high school really sucked, and you were one of the only people that was nice to me."
Wow.
And I didn't do it on purpose. I just think you should make everybody feel inclusive. So I've
It's
spent my
the right thing to do, right?
It
Be
is.
kind.
It is the right thing to do. I've spent my entire adult life trying to build community that involved everybody. Like if I threw an event, everybody was welcome. I didn't care if you had purple hair and you wore neon green shoes and the person next to you was wearing loafers and a tie. You were welcome at my events because you learn from each other and you without inclusivity, there you cannot move forward. You cannot learn. You're just
Hmm.
stuck and stagnant. So I've always wanted a big community that everybody felt welcome in.
Okay, I want you to say that again. Without inclusivity, you can't learn
Yeah.
because we're all the same if we lock out others.
Thou, yes. The homogeny. You have homogeny. Without inclusivity, you have homogeny. And with the homogeny, it's boring and there's nothing to learn.
Right.
Right? Right?
That is fascinating. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. So tell us about how you build community.
Well, my favorite community building story is 2017. My husband and I had already decided that we were going to move to Michigan, that we were going to shut down our business and move to Michigan. And about, I'm going to say February of 2017, I'm talking to a friend of mine who works in a comic book shop. And I said, it might be fun to put together a Star Wars art festival. Do you think we could use that parking lot next door? And she said, I think so. And so within about a week, I had the permit. I had lined up the porta potties. I had started recruiting vendors. And on the weekend of May the 4th is the Star Wars
Yes, yes.
holiday, right?
May the
On
fourth
the
be with
on the weekend of May the 4th, I had 2 or 3 thousand attendees, about 45 vendors, there are artists, 3 food trucks, about 100 people in costume, and 2 cars that were decked out in Star Wars, just Star Wars themed art cars. And I did that in 3 months, 4 months, with the help of a team. Of course, I recruited the team to help, but it was when I got the 2 high schools involved to come and do stuff. It was all within and the reason I was able to do that successfully is because I had already built communities of people who wanted to do stuff like that. But that is my favorite community building story because without the community, I wouldn't have been able to put on this event. in such a short amount of time that was wildly successful and a whole lot of fun.
So we talk about community and make your passions pay, right? And this is exactly what Candace is referring to. It took a community that she had already built of people to create that fabulous event in just 3 months' time.
Hmm.
And we all need community in our businesses to do the same thing. To produce the fabulous results we want to produce, we have to have that community around us. One of my mentors says that if we had a label on us as to how to care for us as human beings, it would say store in community.
I love that. Who says that? Who is the mentor?
Lynn McTaggart, she teaches the power of eight and the
Now I
50.
can now I can give credit to that quote.
Yeah, yeah, love it. Love
Oh,
it.
that's awesome. But yeah, community is really, it's so important. And a couple of months ago, I was looking at my offering of what I offer in terms of paid offers. I have a lot of things that I do that I give away, but in terms of paid offers, I was looking at what I was offering and I was like, this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. I don't want to be a coach. I love running masterminds, but I don't want to charge that much for them. I want them to be accessible and affordable. And so I said, I want to do this as a community. I want to stop calling myself a coach, so I don't call myself a coach anymore. I am a community builder. So I created a community for my podcast listeners who are Gen X women solopreneurs for the most part. And we do things within the community that will help them grow their solo businesses while having people, while other women have their backs.
And women need women. We are supportive. Historically, I think it was a sense of we had to compete with each other. And now I see the shift in women supporting women. And those
Hmm.
are the communities I certainly want to be in as a woman entrepreneur. So I believe what you're talking about, that community is called the Gratitude Geek Lab. Is that right?
That is correct.
The
Yes.
Gratitude Geek Lab. Look it up if
Because
you
we
want to be
do,
in a community.
because we experiment in the lab with ideas, you know?
Experiment
We
with ideas.
experiment with ideas, and that's why I called it lab.
And that I was going to ask you that question because it sets you apart too, right? Nobody else is really doing that, using that word, and I love it.
Well, when you are a solo business, something that big companies do might not work for you, but some of the things that big companies do may work for you, but you won't know unless you try. So I give you a little space so that you feel comfortable trying that tiny little experiment. And they don't have to be huge. I mean, one of my things is do the same thing every day for 90 days and just see if it moves the needle. And that one little thing can be, 10 sit-ups. Every day I'm going to do 10 sit-ups for 90 days, right? Will
Takes
it move
90
the
days
needle?
to change a habit, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was 56 days, but 90 is at 90. It's somewhere between 60 and 90 days to change a habit.
Let's just
There's a
go with
lot.
90.
There's a
I'm
lot of different studies. But yeah. So this morning I want to talk about this women supporting women thing for a minute because this
okay.
morning I need to mention another thing too. I saw that there was a need for women creators, like content creators, to have a support group, a networking group, where they could come together in a safe space without men to collaborate and co create new things. So it's for podcasters, bloggers, vloggers, um, short form, long form, whatever it is. If you're a content creator, this networking group is for you as a woman. Anyway, I launched the first one on Wednesday and I got feedback like it was so electric. I've never felt this way. I still have a buzz. And my favorite was I don't like networking because people always are taking. When you go to a networking event, people are always taking. And I felt like everybody at this event was a giver. They were there to give. But
Love
I
it.
I marketed it as a collaboration event. I never once said networking when I marketed it. So it attracted the people who wanted to come to collaborate and co create. But this morning I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, the reason why it was so electric is because the women in the room felt safe to share with
Hmm.
each other, which won't happen if there's men in the room. And then I was like, oh man, now I understand what's going on with men, why men are so angry right now, because we've taken that away from them. And I know this is not that where this conversation needs to go, but I'd like to encourage women to allow men to have a male only, like go out with their friends or have male friends. If you have men in your life, encourage them to seek out the same kind of male companionship or camaraderie that we as women naturally gravitate towards.
I would agree with that. And my husband's an avid golfer, and so he has his golfing buddies, right? But that's 4 hours of sheer men time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he has that outlet, and I have an ex-husband who never was good at that. So I really can agree with that and in supporting men to do that. However, I want to say that we were talking about inclusivity, and there are some men that fit in the circle of women supporting women. So I'm
Correct.
also a member of eWomen Network, and what eWomen Network says is we don't exclude men, and a few good men are a part of our network. And I've noticed a difference, right? And it's that we all carry all of those emotional and personality traits, some heavier than others, right? Depends which way we're constructed, but there's some great individual men who are strong enough to stand in a room full of women
Mhm. Yeah.
and be very supportive and love to get that kind of support in return.
And I wasn't saying to separate, I was saying
Right?
to allow.
Wow. I
Allow.
love that, but that
Yeah.
clarity is important, Candace, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
words matter. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, allow each of us to have the space we need and find the groups, the communities that feel right for us, right?
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
find those communities in your life. And, I'm a BNI, avid BNI person, which we live on the philosophy of givers gain. So I love that you've created a network that is about that, givers, women supporting women. I want to come and be a part of it and see
You
what
are
you got
very
going on
welcome.
there.
You are
But
so welcome. Once a month.
create creating the safe space is a really important piece of that, what you just said.
Mhm.
Creating that safe space. And I try and do that in my retreats and events. I do that. I don't try. I create that in my events and retreats that I put on and create that safe space. And it absolutely builds community. I remember when I began, women showed up and they said, well, we're going to come, Luann, because we love you. We're your friend, but we don't get it. And then after the event, after the first retreat, they were like, oh, now we get it.
Mhm.
We get it. And it was really, I said, what did you really enjoy? And that was it. It was being in community and being supported by other women and collaborating with other women. I just,
Don't your
oh,
retreats also include whitewater rafting?
oh. Well, I'm happy to do one for that because I've been whitewater rafting several times. But
I
no, we have done consistently trips into the Boundary Waters canoe area of
Oh,
northern
canoeing. Okay.
Minnesota. And let's see, Sylvania is a wilderness in Michigan that is similar to the Boundary Waters. I've been there as well, but it's not wild like White Rapids. It's really just lakes connected to more and more lakes that you can explore. And so you do hiking and portaging and camping, and you got to carry everything you need with you. And what we did that for was to show women you do have the capability of taking care of yourself in this environment. You don't need all those other things that you had back at home, right?
Mhm.
And again, if we're in community together and there's only 8 of us that go at a time, and we support one another and we work together as a team, and it's beautiful. And the women walk away and go, oh my gosh, I really did that.
Hmm. Well, and the safety piece of it is so important because that's what you do. What you do, canoeing can be scary too, you know? But what you do is scary, and you make it safe. It.
Yeah. Because I grew up canoeing, from a little girl, it didn't ever feel dangerous to me. And then a friend of mine came on our first trip, and only after we had paddled for a day or two did she say, I'm afraid of the water. I can't swim. And I'm
Oh.
like, I had no idea. And look at the bravery that you've shown in getting in a canoe on this huge lake and paddling off into the wilderness.
Was she in
We
the
can
was sh
do it and we don't give ourselves credit for it. Like, really, she probably wasn't even owning it as how brave am I until I said that to her,
Mhm. Oh,
right?
yeah.
She, in her mind, was simply overcoming fear and probably forcing herself through it.
I think that as women, that is something that we are really good at. We're very good at doing something even when it's scary because we have to. Like, the stories of women that have saved their children from cars that were, crushed under cars or whatever, they just figure it out and they do it. They overcome the fear and they get it done because we have that special survival instinct that makes us nurture and care and want to save.
and,
So,
and, and react.
and react, and yeah, and so yeah, it makes total sense that a woman who can't swim would go on a canoeing trip and canoe even though she was afraid. It makes total sense.
But, right, what our audience needs to remember is that you have people in your life right now. You may not even think so, but you have people in your life right now who are there to support you. And there's more and more out there because that's what we want. And we
Mhm.
want communities of women. So come hang out with Candace, come hang out with me. We would love to support you
Mhm.
in
I,
whatever your endeavors are. And I was just talking to a couple yesterday, anyway, about their journey in entrepreneurs, and they have in their what one might normally think of as retirement years, but neither of them are retired. They're both working, but they got rid of their home and all that it takes to have a home and all of those expenses, and they're house sitters. They
how
take
fun.
they take care of people's homes all over the country, and they sit at a house for a month, 3 months, whatever that those people's journey is, wherever they're off to. And I thought it was a moneymaker, and it's not a moneymaker. It's a trade.
Yeah.
We have a place to live, and we can take care of your house while you're gone.
Yeah. I
And
love
they
that.
take care of pets, and it's just eliminated this huge expense in their life. I think it's
Uh,
powerful.
it and it sounds like so much fun.
It sounds like
It sounds
fun.
like
And it also
my
sounds like, they were talking about this. The reality is that we're used to and we're trained, we're domesticated, that we're supposed to have a house and take
mhm.
care of it and live in it and stay in one place. And that just doesn't have to be the truth.
No. And I mean a lot of times what holds people back from traveling, like we have 3 cats. We wouldn't be able to travel unless we had a house sitter,
There you
right?
go.
Luckily, we have a neighbor who is a pet sitter, so she watches our pets when we're gone. But yeah, if we didn't have her, we wouldn't go. You know?
Yeah, I have this tendency to plan a trip and forget that I have a dog and go, oh, what am I going to do with the dog while we're gone?
I actually know a woman who had a very successful dog sitting business in her home. People would bring their dogs to hang out with her while they were gone, and she would have 3 or 4 dogs at a time. She was like the dog whisperer because dogs can be territorial. So yeah, I mean there are so many, like you said earlier, if you're passionate about something, you can make a profit from it.
Right? Um, and that's where the creativity comes in too, right? Is that think creatively, think outside the box. There is a way to make money if you're providing value to someone else that's important to them. People's
Mhm.
pets are important to them.
Mhm.
And so if you're
Yeah.
going to take care of their home and their dog or cats, right, while they can go off and travel, it's a win-win situation.
Hmm.
And again, there's no cash exchanging hands in this house sitting situation, but exchanging value,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And as long as the homeowners have enough dog food for their dogs, you know. And I would also say that the homeowners need to let you eat any food that's in the refrigerator as
Well,
well.
I think they do that too. You kind of you assume the responsibility that they were talking about that, which you mentioned culture earlier of a company, which is another C word that's under connection in my world, is that you got to connect and create culture. But they said they have to learn a new culture every city they go to
Oh, that's true.
because every city's a little different, like how they handle their recycling and their garbage and just the things that we take for granted around our households. They have to relearn in all these different locations so that they fit in the culture, which I think would be fascinating.
I had a friend that came to visit, and she was staying in an Airbnb, and we were over at her house having dinner, and we had a bunch of soda cans, and I was like, "Where's your recycling can?" And she goes, "I don't know." And so we went on a hunt for it, and we found it. But in my community, we recycle. You know, we have a recycling can, and it's picked up on a certain day every
Yeah,
month. So that, but in other communities, they don't have that.
some
So
don't.
yeah,
And
but
some are
it's
really precise about theirs, right?
yeah,
Can't remember
and
can't remember what city they were talking about. We were talking about this specific subject, and they said like they had the smallest little garbage cans because everything had its own recycling or compost or what have you. So
mhm.
the pride of the neighborhood was if you had a tiny little garbage can of actual garbage.
That must be Portland because my father had like four garbage cans. He had one for the compost, one for the recycling, one for the garbage. Well, I can't remember what the other one was, or
Yeah,
maybe they separated. But yeah, in Portland they take their separation of the trash very seriously. But it's true. If you separate your trash out, you have very little garbage.
right.
Most of it
Yeah,
is reusable, recyclable. So
yeah.
that we totally went down a rabbit hole with that. I love it.
Well, but the thing is, the point, if I can bring it back around, is that culture
Hmm.
is the word culture, right? And so many businesses fail to really focus on creating culture that they want to have. And let me tell you, people, if you don't create the culture that you want, it will be created for you and you might not like it.
Yeah.
And think about it, even in your neighborhoods, you have a culture. In your church community, you have a culture. Every community has its own cultural norms,
Hmm.
right? I mentioned BNI and eWomen Network. We have core values in both those organizations that create the culture by which we engage with one another and how we do business together.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
And
so if you're not looking at creating culture in your organization, I don't care if you're a one person show or if you're 300 employees, right? Culture is key.
exactly. I want to bring up the law of 2 feet. I
Oh,
learned
love
this. I learned this from Mike Roderick. As a employee or as a participant in an event or part of a community, if that culture doesn't serve you, you have 2 feet and you can walk away from it. You do not have to stay in a culture that doesn't align with your values. That lesson has served me well.
And you have to know what your values are, own them, and live with them every day. Really conscious awareness of that, which is why I help people find their passions. Those are really their core values, right? And that you are consciously aware of them so you can make those choices. So I can say, wait a minute, this community is not a culture that aligns with my values. I'm going to take my 2 feet and I'm going to walk away,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so you stay stuck in places that you really don't belong.
Mhm. And the thing is, when you walk away and you walk into a different opportunity, you have no idea what's going to happen. You just have to accept and allow, right? Back to the allow. Accept and allow that something wonderful is going to happen.
Uh,
And if it
Yes.
doesn't, 2 feet, Keep
And I
walking.
heard myself say that word belong. And this is a trick word, right? Because we want to belong. We want to have the sense of belonging and being a part of something. And so sometimes we stay too long in communities that aren't right just so we belong somewhere.
Yeah, we try to mold ourselves into something that we don't fit, where we don't fit.
Right. And so it takes courage, another C word, it takes courage to recognize that and go find the right community
Hmm. That's one
and
of
the
the
right
reasons why.
culture.
It's one of the reasons why I build communities. Because rather than trying to fit my world belief into somebody else's community, I build a community around my world belief that welcomes everybody.
I love
You
it.
know, and because everybody feels welcome, it's dynamic and wonderful. And I just my goal is to make you feel welcome.
And give you a community to belong to.
Hmm. Yep.
Love it.
Hmm.
Love it so much. So, gratitude as a business strategy before we move on. Before we have to wrap this up, I want to talk about gratitude as a business strategy. So, tell my audience how that.
I think that the best way to explain how to weave gratitude into your business strategy is something that Rachel Speckman said on my show a couple of months ago. And she said that every time her hand touches a doorknob, she says, "Thank you for this opportunity."
Nice.
So when every time I am on a guest on a podcast, thank you for this opportunity. Every time a guest is on my show, I do my best to make that guest feel like I really appreciate them. I even send really cool thank you cards, which you haven't received yours yet because I batch send those. But I go out of my way to make the person who I'm interfacing with feel like they are so appreciated because what you appreciate appreciates. So
That's it all the
when
time.
you have a gratitude based strategy and you are shedding appreciation everywhere you go, you are spreading all these seeds and more wonderful opportunities are sprouting because gratitude is a fertilizer. I'm telling you, gratitude is like manure. It's just a pile of poo until you spread it around. And when you spread it around, opportunities and amazing things grow.
Gratitude as a fertilizer. I love that so much, and I'm going to adopt that doorknob philosophy of
Yeah. It's
thank
a
you for
great
this opportunity every time.
It's a wonderful gratitude practice that's so simple to incorporate into your daily routine. Like every time I turn on the microphone, thank you for this opportunity. Hmm.
Love it. Thank you for that tip. All of us in the audience can use that tip. I sign my emails with gratitude and with appreciation. Depends what I feel in the moment, but I do that as well to make people feel appreciated and to be grateful
Hmm.
for even having a conversation with someone. So, Candace, thank you for the opportunity to have you on my show.
Oh,
I
I appreciate
appreciate
it so
you so
much.
much.
Thank
I
you.
think there's more for us to do in the world together
I agree. I
because we are
totally agree.
definitely like-minded. And so we will make sure that access to the Gratitude Geek Lab and the Gratitude Geek Podcast are in the show notes when we post the podcast. And of course, we'll share it with you as well to share with your audience and vice versa,
And the
because that's what we're doing is
I
collaborating with each other.
I hope we also include the Creator Collab mixers because I think that's the best opportunity that I offer.
Okay, well, now wait a minute. I don't know what those are.
That's the networking group that I've been talking about.
Okay, so the
Create
networking group is not the Gratitude Geek Lab.
No, the lab is an incubator.
The lab is
The
a community.
the lab is a community incubator.
Okay.
The Creator Collab mixers are a networking opportunity.
Creator collab mixers.
Mixers.
All right. Well, send
I'm
me
so
an invite to that and we'll
I
make
will.
sure it's in
So
the show notes for everybody else. All right. So go out, be grateful. Be grateful for the communities that you have and find the right communities that you can be grateful for. Thanks again, Candace, for being on the show. Everybody have a great day. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to Make Your Passion Pay. If today's episode inspired you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a rating, and share your thoughts in a review. Every listener makes a difference in spreading this mission of joy and purpose. Want to take the next step? Share this episode with your friends, colleagues, or anyone looking to build a thriving, values-driven workplace. Together, we can create communities where passion fuels success. Until next time, remember, when you lead with joy, you inspire greatness. Let's keep making your passion pay.